to today's video. Today we're going to do Premier League table predictions. I'm joined with Louis.
Hello.
So let's get straight into it. So at 20th position, I put West Brom there. Who have you put there, Louis?
I've also put West Brom actually. Yeah, so I think.
Yeah, what are your reasonings for putting West Brom at 20th?
I think obviously with them being a new club coming up, obviously that's a challenge in its own without sort of all the other transfers coming in. Obviously, a lot of players will be having to take a step up from the Championship to the Premier League.
Yeah.
I don't think their signings have been too sort of impactful. Obviously, they've brought in Dion Garner, who I think could be important for them. I don't think their defence is great apart from that, realistically.
As a Chelsea fan, what's your opinion on Ivanovic joining?
Yeah, Ivanovic, I think it's an interesting one with him because I think obviously he wasn't the fastest player even when he was with us, so I think he probably will sort of have lost even more pace, and obviously he will be playing in centre back, I'd imagine. So I think he could definitely do a job for them, but it is the case of like, will he be able to keep up with the speed of the Premier League still after playing in Russia for that long?
Yeah, because so as a Southampton fan, I've obviously witnessed Charlie Austin. I think he almost kind of struggled in a way when he played for us and he was in the Premier League. I think the other thing with him was it's just he was a great player for us, don't get me wrong, but I think there was a lot of time that was very painful for him because he was a very slow player.
He definitely struggled.
And I think last year he didn't really score too many, so
yeah.
I just think they'll struggle with goals to score mainly.
Yeah.
Next season.
Yeah, I think they are lacking in terms of players going forward.
Yeah.
Okay, so carrying on.
Alright, so we're now going to look at 19th. Who have you put for 19th, Lou?
So I, in 19th, have put Aston Villa. Who have you put?
Okay. I put Fulham for 19th.
Fulham, okay, yeah. I can definitely see that. So, so my 19th with Villa. I am putting this in relation to Grealish staying even. If he goes, it might be even more difficult for them. But last season they didn't even deserve to beat the drop. It was some refereeing issue on the last day that kept them going, I think. I don't think they've brought in. They have brought in Ollie Watkins, who could be good, but he's not proven enough for me to think that him and Grealish would keep them up at the moment. What about you with Fulham?
Well, I just think that their midfield isn't experienced enough. So with Harrison Reid, he's not really Premier League experienced. Lamina, he's just, if he wants to work, then he will be good for them. But from what I've experienced at Saints, he's a very lazy player. Because he had the chance to be our best player, but he just didn't want to put the work in. So
yeah, I
just
do agree.
Yeah.
They've got Kearney as well, who's got a bit more experience and captain.
Yeah, he's got a bit. Yeah.
But tell you what, I
can't see how they'll be able to stay up there. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Like, even if they do, I would just imagine they'd finish like 17th if they could.
It'll be either just above or. The only reason I haven't put them in 19th for me is the signings they've made over the past couple of days. In Areola in goal, I think he'll be a massive step up from Rodak. And
brings a lot of experience as well.
Yeah, definitely. And they also signed Kenny Tete and who's the Aina, who's a young Chelsea wing back. And he's not the important one. The main ones are Tete and Areola. But I think just that bit more experience and quality in the squad, in defensively, might help them out.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I can see that.
Yeah, I mean,
think especially with Areola, because he's been, got to the Champions League final this year. Even if he hasn't played an awful lot, he will know, how to win, I guess.
Yeah, he's been through a lot in football, sort of in footballing terms. Like, even if he hasn't been the main player in their position, he's been in and around a lot of successful clubs, and to be kept around in successful clubs, you need to be at a certain level at least.
Yeah.
So with Villa, they obviously, in terms of signings, they've got Ollie Watkins, who I mentioned, and Matty Cash, who
Matty Cash.
Yeah, two. I mean, it's fair to say inexperienced players in the Premier League, who could be good. I mean, they've shown that they're decent players in the Championship, and I mean, hopefully for them, they keep that going towards the Premier League.
Matty Cash had a quite good season this year at Notts.
Yeah.
But it's just whether he is able to
transfer that to the higher levels. And in terms of players they've lost, I mean, obviously there is still a chance of losing Grealish. I don't know what's happening with that. I think they are closer to keeping him at this stage. But at the current time, I mean, the most notable loss is James Chester, who I don't think even plays. He was released. He's the only one out of the players that I'm seeing that I even know.
Yeah.
So they haven't lost too much coming up. What about Fulham? Have you got their transfers?
Yes, I do.
So obviously they've got Aina, Tete, Areola, Harrison Reed, Lamina, Knockaert, and Anthony Robinson from Wigan. And they haven't.
I know. The two people that left was Alfie Mawson to Bristol City alone, and Luca Della Torre.
Don't think they'll be massively missed.
I don't think they were very important players for them.
Yeah. I think Mawson played last year.
Lost big players. It's just their team in general. I don't think it's got the experience. And Scott Parker's also a kind of a newish manager as well.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's just whether he's able to control a dressing room or whether he isn't is another thing.
Yeah, definitely.
To be fair, because he was quite a successful player at that club, could give him the edge over.
Yeah, it's like other managers in the league. Like, they get a lot of respect from the players in the team because a lot of them. I mean, anyone that's been a high level at a certain club, you respect them, just what they've done for that club, and therefore if they become manager, you sort of do everything you can for them to be successful.
Yeah, a lot of clubs seem to be doing that at the moment with Arsenal, Chelsea.
Definitely.
It seems to be the way forward for managers.
Yeah.
But let's move on to 18th position.
Okay.
Who have you put on 18th position?
Can you re-say that? Because I don't know. Oh, no, I've got it. Right. Restart that bit.
Okay. So let's move on to 18th position. So, Louis, who have you put for 18th?
So I've actually put Fulham in 18th. So it's only... Oh, wow, yeah. So we've got the same bottom three, which I don't think too many people would argue with. And maybe a couple of people in and out. But it's really... I mean, we've spoken about all their signings and everything. I think Fulham defensively and with their new keeper, that's the only reason I've sort of put them slightly above Villa. But apart from that, either way, between the 18th and 19th, I can see either of those teams in either of those positions.
Yeah.
So,
let's just move on to 17th, as we've already covered those two teams anyway.
Yes.
Who have you put for 17th position?
So I've put West Ham. Another team that...
I've put West Ham as well.
Wow. We've pretty much put the same things, which is...
Yeah.
I think like a lot of these teams around this sort of area, most people would probably say similar positions in the league for them. In terms of signings for them, they've just brought in Souček on a permanent deal. Obviously, having him on loan, he started to play really well at the end of last year. So
yeah. I just think West Ham they just from this season they seem to be lacking that something special with going forward.
Yeah, definitely. I think they've slightly started moving forward in terms of having Antonio playing down the middle. I think he's definitely the best sort of central striker that they have. Even, I mean, he's not consistent, but I think he's got the most to give out of everyone.
They made one signing this year with Thomas Suchek from Prague for 15 million.
Yeah, and
I'm not. Don't know too much about him, but I believe that he is a solid signing for them.
Yeah. I what I do remember is he scored a goal and an offside goal against Chelsea last year. So that's what I've got from him. Obviously they've lost Ajeti, Scully. Don't know much about them. And Gakia on a free, so he can't have been too important. And obviously Diangana, we spoke about him earlier. Him moving to West Brom, which is, I don't think immediately he'll be missed, but I think sort of he should have been in their plans to move forward. Yeah. 100%. Right.
Let's move on to 16th position. Who have you put for 16th?
So I've put Brighton.
I've put Crystal Palace.
Okay, yeah.
I know that's a bit controversial in a way because people would have bought Zaha and everything, but
no, I definitely understand that because even with Zaha, he's a good player on his day, but he's very inconsistent with those performances.
Yeah, and so. I think it's when you build a team around one player, I think sometimes it's a very dangerous thing to do.
Definitely,
if he doesn't turn up, then they won't win the game.
Yeah,
and if he's injured for the whole season, then what are they going to do?
Yeah,
that's
definitely.
Kind of how I'm looking, because he's the type of player that will get kicked as well.
Yeah,
so he could get injured.
Yeah, the only sort of because I think they've brought in a couple of good signings. That's why I've put them a little bit higher than that. But they've brought in Eze from QPR.
From QPR and Nathan Ferguson from.
They have it's not on Sky Sports, but they have also brought Batshuayi in on loan.
Oh yeah.
So
I'm sure that's confirmed.
Yeah, maybe that's not, and that's not why it's not there. But I know it's sort of at least in the works, and it's looking like happening.
Yeah, that's a solid striker for them.
I think having sort of a bit more quality with Eze, and I mean he's unproven, but from what I've seen from him so far, he looks like a pretty good player. And having Batshuayi alongside Zaha again, I think might be the way they sort of get themselves away from that drop zone.
Yeah, I can see that. So, who did you put 16th again? Sorry, I forgot.
I put Brighton in 16th. Yes.
What was your reasoning for putting Brighton 16th?
I know they've made a couple of signings that you might sort of put them a bit higher, but I just don't. I'm always just not convinced with Brighton. Usually I'd probably put them lower, but I know that every year they seem to just grind out that, like they always seem to be safe. Like every year, they're not the sort of team that you can see going down. Once it's got to a good point. Obviously Lallana on a free.
Yeah, Lallana, Veltman from Ajax, Emerson from Oldham. I don't know how good he's been, to be honest. Weir from Wigan and then Donker from Club Brugge.
Yeah, so obviously they've got a couple of bigger signings, Lallana and Veltman. I think Lallana could be good for them. Even he's an experienced player and he's got a bit of quality, like we were saying earlier. They've been around that success with Liverpool.
Yeah, he's a very skillful player as well. So if you have him on his day, they have lost also quite a few players as well.
Yeah, they have actually. I didn't even notice the amount that they've lost.
Big player. Shane Duffy, Glenn Murray, Aaron Moy. Aaron Moy is a very strange character, to be honest.
Yeah, going to China. Yeah, fair enough to him. He's obviously getting that pre-career ending payout. going to Shanghai. Fair enough to him. But yeah, so Veltman I think will help them defensively. He's again got a lot of experience. He played quite a lot for Ajax in that Champions League run that they went on 2 seasons ago. So yeah. So I think in terms of the players that they've brought in, it's not been too bad. I just always think that they're not gonna push on the way that they do. Obviously, another important player for them that's not a new signing, Lewis Dunk. Him signing a contract was a big thing for them because I know there was a lot of rumours about him leaving at one point, and I think he's very, very vital for their defence and for them staying up. Him and Veltman could have a good partnership if he plays centre back. So Veltman can also play right back, but either way, a big part of a defensive line. Yeah.
We're just going to go 15th now. I'm just going to say who I put first because I picked Brighton. And basically for the same reasons we've just said.
Guess who I've put? Crystal Palace.
You picked Crystal Palace?
Yep. So
so
we won't go over them again because one position below or above it's similar reasons really, isn't it?
Yeah.
So.
Alright, let's move over to 14th. Who have you put for 14th?
So you're not going to like this one. I've put Southampton.
Alright, what was your reasoning for putting Southampton at 14th?
The reason I've put them there is because I think I think some people would agree, even Southampton fans, that I think they're a Danny Ings injury away from relegation almost. I think without him, they would struggle, and he is injury prone, and it's sort of almost like I'm sure you're probably surprised it hasn't happened already, some sort of injury. Yeah. I just don't think apart from him, there's enough quality to push on too much further. Who have you gone for?
I've gone for Newcastle at 14th.
Okay, yeah.
I just can't really see Steve Bruce as a manager being able to.
Yeah, I think they've got a good lineup going on, but I wouldn't say I wouldn't put them anywhere higher than sort of a couple of positions above this. It's obviously Saint-Maximin is a very skillful player, but he's not necessarily consistently scoring, consistently assisting. Like it's just sort of he can impact matches, and same with Callum Wilson. Obviously, I think bringing him in was definitely a big signing for them. Ryan Fraser as well. Who else have they signed?
Lewis.
Who, sorry? Jamal Lewis, yeah. Not bad. No, which one, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, so they're some pretty decent signings. This is the thing with Newcastle. Like, I think they were struggling last season in terms of quality, but I do think that the players that they brought in could just give them a bit of a different sort of lease of life. In certain positions, like I can't even remember who Newcastle's left back was last season, but I think Jamal Lewis will come in and do a good job there because I know he did for Norwich last season, as well as you can for a Norwich left back. But
okay, so let's go across the 13th position. I've put Burnley at 13th. Who have you put at 13th?
So I've put Newcastle in 13th.
Okay.
So
the reason why I put Burnley there is just because I think how they played during last season and with their signings, they've only signed. Well, they signed Will Norris from Wolves, but apart from that, they haven't really signed many people. And I just think it's going to be hard for Sean Dyche team to be able to push into the top 10 when there's so many good top 10 teams at this stage.
I think they'll miss Hendrick as well, actually, him being released. I think he was a good player in the middle of the park for them. He did do a lot for them, even though he's not the most well-known name in their squad. I do think I understand why you would put them there. The only reason I haven't is because I think I don't have a sort of main reason. It's just the fact that Sean Dyche seems to always just manage to make their style of play work against whatever they're given. and he just pulls out results. That's pretty much the only reason. So obviously I said Newcastle. We spoke about them before, about all their signings and stuff. So
okay, let's go across the 12th position. Who have you put for 12th?
So I put Leeds in 12th.
I put Leeds as well.
Okay, yeah. So I think obviously with their new signings, who have they signed? They've signed Rodrigo.
Rodrigo, 30 million. Which, to be fair, is a solid signing when you've just been promoted.
Yeah, I know when we were speaking about signings before, I've said, oh yeah, I saw Rodrigo. I was like, wow, that's a good one for them. The goal against Chelsea is the reason in the Champions League is the reason that I know a little bit about him. But if you look at the stats for him, I remember seeing that he only scored about 6 goals in the league last season, which, I mean, it definitely made me question it a bit. I don't know. Hopefully for them, he can sort of start scoring in the Premier League. But yeah, there are other signings being Harrison on loan from Man City. I think he did.
Harrison, he scored today.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. So we're recording this after the Saturday matches. So Harrison scored. Yeah, he scored a good goal actually. I was watching it. Helder Costa played a lot of the game. And the new centre back, Robin Koch. He didn't have the best of debuts, to be honest. He gave a penalty away after 6 minutes. It was a handball. He couldn't do much about it, but it's still not ideal for any defender on a debut. I don't know much about him. I know the reason I've put them in this position, I think from watching them today, I think they really sort of gave Liverpool a good game, even though they didn't get any points out of it in the end. I think they've shown that they can score goals. They haven't shown a defence at all yet. That might be something to worry about. But moving forward, I think they can definitely do something in the league.
Also, I think they've got a very good manager.
Oh yeah, definitely. Bielsa's he's one of those ones that not many people knew that much about until recently. But he's got a lot about him, and I do like him.
Yeah, I think he will help them to get to
definitely.
a high position this season.
Yeah.
Now let's move on to 11th. Who have you put at 11th?
I've put Burnley in 11th, so just a couple above what you did. What about you?
Everton at 11th.
Everton? Wow. Okay. I want to hear that reason actually. What? So why would you put Everton in 11th?
I think even though they have made very good signings, I think it's going to be one of those where you almost a good signing go against you, like it did with West Ham when they had the season when they signed Chicharito and Arnautovic.
Yeah.
I think the thing is, I think Ancelotti, he's a good manager, but it has gone against them a few times when he's tried to sign quite a few players and it's just not really worked. And he seems to be a manager where if he can't lose the dressing room at all, because if he ever gets close to losing the dressing room, it seems to
becomes an issue on everything. Yeah, so in terms of their signings, obviously they've pretty much just replaced their midfield completely. They brought in Allen from Napoli, James Rodriguez from Real Madrid, and Decore from Watford. Obviously they look like they should be very good signings, and I think that midfield behind sort of Richarlison, Calvert-Lewin, two hit players that really did perform last season. I think their midfield was definitely lacking last season. Defensively, I'm still not sure. But I think, for me, I do think that those signings will give them enough quality to be a little bit higher in my one. But I can understand what you mean about it completely.
Yeah.
Yeah, so obviously, my one was Burnley in this position. I gave my reason for that pretty much before anyway, so they just sort of grind out results.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who have you put in 10th position?
So I've gone with Sheffield in 10th.
Alright, I've gone with Southampton in 10th.
Okay, yeah.
My reasoning for that is, I know it's going to look a bit biased, But I think with our defence, our defence is, for once, in like the past 3 years or something like that, we've actually got a defence which is sorted. With signing Salusi, who I can't remember the exact stat, but he did very well in aerial threats last year. If you have a look at the aerial battles he won the majority of them.
Yeah, and teams sort of put a lot of crosses in against Saints as well. Like, you do see that. Yeah, so with Sheffield, I've put them. I don't think they're. I mean, they're moving. I can't remember exactly where they finished last season, but I'm pretty sure it was sort of around 8th to 10th mark. Obviously, they were really looking like they could push for Europe at one stage, and then they just dropped off because they do. I mean, they do lack quality attacking wise. That's just how it is. I don't think they want to change it up too much. Wilder being an amazing manager, and he just works with that team, I think. So yeah, they haven't brought too much in attacking wise. They brought Bogle and Lowe from Derby, and then they brought in Ampadu. Obviously not attacking, but I think obviously he's been out on loan at different clubs for quite a while. Hopefully this year for him if he can get some minutes, and I reckon he could do a good job for Sheffield. Yeah, and then Ramsdale, their last signing. Obviously that's just replacing Henderson. From what I saw last season, I think Henderson's maybe slightly better than Ramsdale, but I don't think it'll be too much of a loss, sort of swapping those over, because I do think Ramsdale's a good keeper as well. And he sort of came around at a good time with Bournemouth going down.
Yeah, that's very understandable. Now let's move on to 9th position. Who have you put in 9th position?
So in 9th, I've put Wolves.
Okay.
My 9th to 7th is probably very similar. I was struggling to decide them. Yeah, I have gone with Wolves. Who have you gone for?
I've gone with Sheffield United at 9th.
Okay, yeah. So why have you?
Pretty much the same decisions you kind of spoke about Sheffield, but I think their whole tactics and how they play isn't something that many teams know how to do themselves. So
definitely.
I think that can help them.
Yeah.
Like, it helps how they play in their defence.
Yeah, you definitely see them sort of. They win some games that you couldn't expect from them, and it's in a way it's like Burnley in terms of they have their style of play, and it just works for them. Obviously, they don't play the same style as Burnley, but in terms of tactically, like, they stick to what they know. And they don't try and sort of do anything stupid with it. Yeah. So obviously, I've gone with Wolves. I'm even questioning my decision with that now, but like I'm not too sure what. I think Doherty was a big part of their game last season, so I think he'll be a massive loss for them. Obviously, him going to Tottenham. They did sign Marcel from Lyon. I don't know too much about him. I just know that he's a decent left back, although I think they already have a few left backs. Maybe they're planning to play him on the other wing back. I don't know, but him and Fabio Silva are their two signings. Again, don't know much about Fabio Silva, but he's gone for quite a high fee for a player that is fairly unknown, but he's sticking to that sort of Portuguese roots in the squad.
Yeah,
so
it's very interesting how everyone they sign tends to be Portuguese.
Yeah. But I mean, if it works for them, you can't question it really. Yeah. So obviously, important players for Wolves. Jimenez has always been their sort of goal scorer. Jota as well. And defensively, Cody's sort of runs the show, and just he's that man that sort of he makes sure everyone's where they're supposed to be. Essentially, any of the young players that come in, they just sort of follow what he says, which is what you expect from a captain, really.
Yeah. So for me, my position, this is Spurs.
Wow. Okay.
the reason why I put Spurs so low to what they would usually get is I just don't think with the top 7 that I've put down, I just can't see them getting into it because I think Mourinho as a manager is very flawed nowadays.